What is up, guys? Eric here from Real Film Reviews, bringing you another movie review, this time for the new Christoph Waltz film, Alita Battle Angel. Alita Battle Angel is directed by Robert Rodriguez, stars Rosa Salazar, Christoph Waltz, Mahershala Ali, and Jennifer Connelly. It tells the story of a young cyborg girl who is basically found in a junkyard, or at least her brain is, and when Christoph Waltz, the doctor in the film, finds her, he decides to put her back together and put her onto a body. But once some things begin to happen in the plot and we realize that maybe there's more to her than we thought there was, and maybe she's a trained killing machine, perhaps this plot could go in a different direction where people want to know where she came from and they want to know why she's so good at fighting. I realize that sounded very cryptic and not in-depth at all. I more or less just told you there's a cyborg that knows how to fight, but that's because if I tell you literally anything else, I'm probably spoiling something about the movie. So first and foremost, I think it goes without saying even if you've just seen the trailers, but I feel like I have to mention it. The effects in this film and the prosthetics used for the androids are legitimately some of the best I have ever seen put to screen. Straight up, the special effects in this movie, for the most part, obviously there's going to be a few here or there that are a little iffy, most of the time are absolutely stunning. All of the characters that have a lot of CGI on their person, specifically Alita, obviously, at first when I saw the trailer for this film, it really freaked me out seeing a character that was more or less completely special effects interacting with real people, but once I started watching the movie, it really was nowhere near as distracting as I thought it was going to be. There were still occasionally a scene here or there that felt a little weird, but for the most part, it actually worked really, really well in the plot. I feel like the way that they explained the story made it so it actually felt like it made sense throughout the film and it never felt out of place in the world that we were seeing. And that paired with Robert Rodriguez's genuinely fantastic direction of this film makes for what is an extremely visually stunning movie. There's nothing about this movie visually that I would change. Obviously, like I said, there's a moment here or there that maybe looks a little iffy, but that's gonna happen in any movie, it doesn't matter. But legitimately, this is one of the most visually impressive films maybe ever made. And then alongside that, the action in it is also extremely well done. I was a little nervous because this film has so many special effects and so much CGI that the action would feel very fabricated, like it wouldn't feel like I was watching a cool, really well choreographed scene, but I was completely wrong. All of the hand-to-hand combat scenes and all of the different action in the film, 90% of the time feels very real and very choreographed. It feels like they thought, hey, if we were going to actually film this and utilize real people rather than obviously the massive CGI because they're robots and stuff, then what would we do? And they really plotted it out, and it looks really great, and it fills all of the action scenes with a lot of intensity. For performances in the movie, I would say there's really only two that I liked a lot, and it was Rosa Salazar as Alita, whose performance, even though really coated in CGI, I still could very clearly see it coming through, and I think she did a very good job with the role. And then alongside her, it's no shock the man has 2 Oscars, but Christoph Waltz is obviously amazing in this film in his role. The man really can do no wrong. He's arguably a top 5 actor alive right now in the world. But that's where what I like about the film kind of ends. Performance-wise, Jennifer Connelly and Mahershala Ali for me fell short. Not that their performances were necessarily bad, I just felt like they came off very disappointing. Their characters didn't have a lot to do, which was not their fault, which is why I don't put much of the fault on the actors. It very much falls on the script of this film, which is the biggest issue in this film. If you asked me after the first act of this movie what I thought of it, I would honestly tell you this movie is a pleasant surprise and I'm really enjoying it. But the film really starts to go off the rails and gets very jumbled and choppy. We start off with what's a rather simple story. A cyborg doctor finds a cyborg body, brings it back to life, and is trying to teach her the world because she doesn't remember anything. And then we find out that she can fight. That's a pretty good baseline for a story. But then this movie decides to tell 3 or 4 or 5 different plot lines at a time with all of these different characters who are all involved in each other's plot lines. And they all just feel so out of place next to one another. This film is full of insanely strong tonal shifts. Like, we will cut from like a romantic scene or a happy scene to an immediately really dark and very serious scene. And in times that juxtaposition in filmmaking works very well, but in this movie it felt like it was because we were forced to go there because the plot needed us to be there. It didn't feel like it was the natural progression of the story, or that it was trying to tell us something by shifting from this scene to this scene. It felt like it was like, hey guys, we did this, but now we gotta come back to these guys because this part's really important for the next big scene in the movie. So even though it doesn't really make sense for us to fade to black and go here, that's what we have to do because it's where we need to go for the movie, which was really annoying. And I feel like that was them not thinking forwardly enough in their storytelling. They needed to include other scenes to make it more of a seamless transition rather than it feel like we're just cutting in between important sequences, because that's what a lot of the film felt like. That accompanied with really, really strange character changes where all of the sudden their opinions that they had literally like an hour ago in the film have fully changed and they are now basically a different character almost. That, alongside, again, with a very abrupt and less than satisfying ending to the film, make for a movie that, after the first act, with the exception of the two good performances in the action, really goes downhill in pretty much every other aspect. I'm gonna give Alita Battle Angel a C+. Like I said, this movie is very visually impressive. If you go see it, it's kind of like watching just a big action scene. But the problem is, what happens in between those action scenes after about the first act feels very jumbled and all over the place. I liked this movie a lot more than I thought I was going to. From the trailers, I was very worried about it because it looked really all over the place. I didn't quite understand the story it was trying to tell, and I think that that was a pretty accurate depiction of the film. It's really pretty. When you're looking at it, you will be impressed by the visuals, but I think the storytelling was what really needed work, and I'm hoping, if this movie does get a sequel, which it clearly sets one up at the end of this film, I'm hoping that the sequel can improve upon that, but based on the amount of money it's making, it's not looking like it's probably gonna get a sequel. Well guys, as always, I'm Eric. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of Alita Battle Angel, share everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, and hope to see you guys later.